Thank you very much for yielding, and thank you for holding this hearing. 51 years ago, the 14th day of this last May, Hyman Rickover, the father of our nuclear submarine, gave what I think was the most insightful speech of the last century to a group of physicians in St. Paul, Minnesota. In that speech, he noted that at that time we were about 100 years into the age of oil, which he noted as the golden age. He said that the age of oil would be but a blip in the 8,000-year history of man. And he had no idea how long the age of oil would last. Today we know fairly precisely how long the age of oil will last, but 51 years ago, he didn't know. But he said that how long it lasted was important in only one regard, that the longer it lasted, the more time would we have to plan an orderly transition to renewable sources of energy. Mr. Chairman, Hyman Rickover would tell you that this hearing is 51 years too late. It's at least 2 decades too late. We have known of an absolute certainty for 28 years to now that this day would come, because 28 years ago was 10 years after the United States reached its maximum oil production, which was predicted by M. King Hubbert 14 years earlier in 1956. When you look back in 1980, it was really obvious that he was right, because we had peaked in 1970, and you do a Google for Hubbert's peak and pull up that peak and look, we were obviously well down the other side in 1980. So what have we done for the last 28 years? With no more responsibilities than the kids who found the cookie jar or the hog who found the feed room door open, we've just been pigging out. We have behaved as if oil is absolutely forever, in total denial of the reality that it is a finite resource. And today we now have oil at $130-some a barrel and gasoline at $4 a gallon. And the present proposals to do something about this will do nothing, Mr. Chairman, but make the price of oil go up. If you drill, it takes energy to drill. For the moment, that will drive the price of oil up. If you invest in alternatives, that takes energy to invest in alternatives. For the moment, that will drive the price of oil up. These are, as I said, this hearing would have been very productive 20 years ago. My wife has a great observation on where we are. She used that old country western, it's too late now to do the right thing. So here we are today, and I'm really pleased to be here. We will transition. Geology will mandate that we transition to renewables. It is just incredible, the innocence, the ignorance, and the denial of people in both of our parties about this energy situation. I think that the American people would gladly follow someone who was honest with them. Drilling is not going to bring down the price of oil. Not a drop will flow for 5 years. So for 5 years, you'll be investing in drilling and driving up the price of oil. Investing in alternatives will not bring down the price of oil today. There's only one thing, Mr. Chairman, will bring down the price of oil today, and that is to use less of it. 2 things will accomplish that. One, the price will go so high we're going to have a global economic depression, and that will bring down the price of oil. Tragic if that's what we let happen. The only other thing that will bring down the price of oil is a conscious, purposeful program of conservation. If we use less, I will guarantee to you that the price of oil will drop. I think Matt Simmons thinks that we can buy 2 decades of time with an aggressive conservation. I'm just going to have one little anecdote. I was driving to work the other day. In the 2 lanes in front of me, in one lane was an SUV with 1 person in it. In the car beside that was a Prius with 2 people in it. The people in that Prius were getting 6 times the miles per gallon per person as compared to the person in the SUV. We have enormous opportunities for conservation. It's the only thing that will momentarily bring down the price of oil so that we can now invest in alternatives. Hyman Rickover, by the way, would be pleased that we've had some of our oil reserves held, because now we at least have some energy that we can use to invest in alternatives for the future. Had we been able to drill everywhere, there would be no surplus energy to invest. And so our investment, made at least 2 decades too late, would do nothing more for the moment to drive up the price of oil. And I have a lot of people in my district. I have a big, long district, and my people can't afford to live near where they work because it's too darn expensive to live there. They live 50, 60, 70, 80 miles away. They can't even afford to buy a new car. They're driving that old clunker, which is inefficient. This is really, really tough. And the American people have every right to be furious with their leadership, because the leadership in both of our parties have systematically failed us for at least the last 3 of the different presidencies in our country. So thank you very much for holding this very important hearing. I look forward to the testimony and the discussion. Thank you.